Okay, hang on.
Oh, shit, I accidentally clicked the thing. Hello, everybody. We're about to go live here in just a second. Got some technical issues we're working on. All right, there we go. Hi, everybody. Zach here for another episode of our flagship program, The Spideydude Experience. This episode is brought to you by our loyal patrons over at patreon.com/Spideydude Network. Pledge today and get both early access to content on the main channel, as well as entirely exclusive content, like brand new shows and commentaries for old Spidey stuff, including commentaries for the MTV series, for example, as well as the video editions for Voices from the Eyrie Gargoyles Podcast. And our Patreon first show focused on the Krakoan era of X-Men. We also want to encourage you to check out our other programs that are all available on Audio Edition. These are all over on Spideydude.com, and they're available on your favorite podcasting app. Shows like Clone Saga Chronicles, the show that started this entire network, Spectacular Radio, Spectacular Sal Buscema era podcast, Amazing Spider-Man Classics, the Slot Symposium, and the sister program on this channel, Make Mine Mayday. As always, be sure to hit the like button. It really does help us big time in the algorithm. And additionally, if you have topics you'd like to cover on a live show or in a recorded medium, make sure to leave a comment down below the description or shoot us an email at SpideydudeRadioNetwork@gmail.com. Finally, make sure to join our community. Be alerted to all new updates by hitting that subscribe button and clicking on the bell. But to be clear, your viewership is more than enough for us. And if you want to hang out with us off YouTube, you can always go to our Discord, where we have all sorts of fun stuff, or you can join us on our social medias and follow us there. All the links are down in the description below. As always, we want to be making some references to visual aids and or live comments. If you're an audio listener, pay that no mind, but leave that 5-star review for us. Any and all feedback we will read on future episodes. Thank you, and without further ado, let's get rolling with this episode. I like how it pauses every time. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode here on the Spideydude Radio Network. I'm Zach Joyner. One thing we didn't mention there in the opening video montage is that we do have super chats and super thanks that are available. So if you want to leave those, we will read those during the show. Those will get priority over other comments because they're super chats. So thanks again for everybody that is watching us live here on YouTube and well, not on Facebook because Facebook doesn't like StreamYard right now, but tonight it is just me. It's going to be Neil, probably briefly, maybe Paul. Adam will be here in a little bit. Chris is going to be here in a little bit. They're all running behind, and so I did want to start the show and go ahead and get rolling. I'll do a few news topics here at the top of the episode, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the 3 issues that we're covering tonight. So hello to everybody. Got me and Neil here in the house. Let me remove this. Oh, as we try to do it at the same time. What's up, guys? Got Neil, who doesn't want to be here.
I was promised I didn't have to be here.
I know. I'm sorry, buddy. I am sorry. You weren't supposed to be here. But I needed your assistance, my friend. So I really appreciate you being here.
You needed the vidya.
I need the vidya. Yeah. So let me, I'm pulling up the new, I have the news topics in the description, but first up, we're going to talk a little bit about something that is going on coming to start next week, actually. And that is, I've got the IGN article in the private chat, Neil. All 8 Spider-Man movies are returning to theaters next month. That is kind of a big deal. There's already ones that are selling out. So this is part of the 100th anniversary of Columbia. If you want to pull that up, Neil.
I'm pulling it up. Just give me a sec.
Oh, okay. So this is now referred to as Spider Mondays. And that is kind of a bit like it's kind of fun. So if you never saw these in theaters, especially like the earlier films, maybe you're too young, and you can go see them at your favorite theaters. Neil and I were trying to do it together, but just logistically, it's a nightmare for us here in Houston. But yeah, what do you think, Neil?
Cool.
Neil is so mad he's here right now. Wait, are there funny comments? I haven't even looked at the comments. Okay.
I'm a little disappointed that there's no Spider-Verse in theaters. I know they'll probably do it later, but it's like,
yeah, I agree.
Treat your animation with some respect.
I'm wondering if they're going to save that for like once this run is done, then they'll do it towards the end of the year. Hopefully. I'm hoping personally.
There was one comment that actually got a chuckle out of me.
Okay.
Shit, where was it? Here we go.
Vigman's shooting strays at you, buddy.
I don't care. That the original Spider-Man movie from 1977 is a classic, and its sequel, Spider-Man Strikes Back, proves that sequels can't be better than the first.
Brian will probably be on next episode. Brian Cochran, who is all the way back from episode 1. He's a huge fan of the 77 series and like the Incredible Hulk series from the 70s as well. And so Radiac says he wishes he could attend these, but they for sure are not happening in his country. Kind of cool to catch the ones missed out on the big screen, to be honest. Yeah, I agree. I think it's really cool.
I mean, it's cool, but it's like cool rather than like oh my god, because like movies are expensive to go to. Man, I went to see Madam Web and I spent more in like 3 hours than I spent in like a week.
Dude, it really is. I mean, okay, so when I went and saw Madam Web, I only paid for my ticket. I didn't buy any concessions. But for me to get like the cup, like they have like at my theater, they'll do like a big old, like, pretty sure it's 64 ounces. Like the type of cup
you don't need 64 ounces of soda. Jesus Christ.
I think it's actually 48. It's 32, I think. But the problem with the cup is like it doesn't have like, the tapered bottom, so you can't put it in your cup holder. But they're nice. They're nice cups. I got the Ant-Man and the Wasp one. I got Black Panther one. So I'll grab those if they're available.
Did you get the Dune one?
I did not get the Dune one. I did not. I don't have an AMC that close.
Okay.
So but yeah.
Hey, Soder Bibbo. All right. Speaking of Madam Web.
Yeah, I got a couple of Madam Web stories that I thought were humorous.
Yeah. So here you go. So Oppenheimer made more on its 243rd day at the box office domestically than Madam Web.
What an indictment. Christopher Nolan was responsible for ushering the era of superhero movies. Now he's responsible for showing them the door, which I don't agree with part of this. The Oscar bumps at the box office are a fairly common phenomenon in the film business. I'm quoting the article here. Major reason why studios spend millions for your consideration publicity campaigns during the award season. The goal, like most things in the industry, is to get more people.
We're just going to read the article? You're just reading the article.
I know. I'm trying to buy time, mother trucker. Here's the quote. Here's the money quote. On the other hand, Madam Web has delivered the kind of box office performance that rattled Sony's future plans for its series of spin-off Spider-Man movies. Madam Web effectively ended its theatrical run with less than $45 million domestically, on the cusp of hitting the $100 million milestone worldwide, but with a whopping 12% approval, a rating on the aggregate website Rotten Tomatoes. There's a bigger chance of a real-life web shooting Spider-Man being born in Brooklyn than for Madam Web to get any sort of box office bump thanks to awards recognition. You can find both films at home and in theaters, and stay tuned to their website for more updates. So yeah. And we've got Adam. Hello, Adam.
Yo.
Welcome to
the show. Not much more excitement than me, so we're off to a good start.
We're off to a roaring start. Yeah, so Madam Web, for the record, I did look this up yesterday. I have not looked it up today, but yesterday I did look it up. after we got done with Comic Bench. So if you have not checked out the Comic Bench episode talking about The Child Within, definitely go do that. After this episode, of course, if you're watching this live. So,
speaking of Madam Web, again.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was number one on a paid video on demand. So people paid money to watch this on VOD.
Why would you
see it at home?
I don't know. That baffles me.
Just get the mega file or something.
Like that one was like the most baffling. Because I was trying to look up some stories that were actually relevant. That's not just me bringing the funny. But no offense to those who want to bring the funny. But I was like, you paid $20 for this?
So two $19.99. You paid $20. I can understand anyone but you, because you're basically just watching for Sydney Sweeney.
I mean, same.
Who the hell is buying Madam Web?
I don't know. I don't know. And look, she also has said multiple times that because of Madam Web, she got Anything But You.
You mean anyone but you?
Anyone but you, excuse me. So there was a net benefit to her getting the movie and her having a relationship with Sony, but Jesus.
Was this for a Madam Web interview? Because I feel like this is like damage control for Sony.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I think she's more well known for Euphoria, even though it's an HBO production. Euphoria is what got her the name.
Oh yeah, she had done a couple other movies, but yeah, I mean Euphoria was her breakout role, which now is delayed because everybody's Euphoria is
because Zendaya wants to get the paycheck.
Well, that and it also kind of is the Sherlock effect. Of your main cast is now so in demand that they're literally, they're having their scheduling is no longer as available as it used to be. I don't know why they make these movies.
You know
it's
what?
Not for holding the rights. If they wanted money, it's clearly
they wanted a cinematic universe, and it's not working. So.
Yeah, Adam's right. They wanted their diet MCU no matter what, and this is honestly just hubris. I think that's the best way of putting it. It's just flying too close to the sun. Yeah, we can make a Madam Web movie. We're Sony, the guys who made Spider-Man Far From. Anyways, if we're still on Madam Web. I can't verify if that Holland Man stuff was legit or not. Zach,
there's that picture of the suit too. Actually, the suit looks pretty good. If that's real.
It looks like the sensational costume. Zach, this is relevant to your interest.
It has a big spider, but it looks like the standard Spider-Man.
Looks like the Marvel Rivals costume.
But people see the big spider and they think Ben Reilly, which is fair. But this is basically Peter's suit with a big spider on it.
I don't care. Zach,
it looks good. I like the eyes.
Oh, you're muted.
Oh, I'm muted. I muted myself because I coughed.
So Minor Ding did this? Is this real?
I don't know. It's from 2023.
I mean, the movie would have been potentially in
post-production.
When did post-production, I guess.
Yeah, because I think it was shot 2021. Had reshoots in 22, and then
here's another piece of supposed concept art, which I guess is Spider-Man fighting Ezekiel on top of.
But again, God, we're gonna have to. I'm gonna have to get Sean O'Connell on and be like, dude, you're gonna have to write a whole freaking book about this
one movie.
This movie.
And then here, I guess, is them doing the Iron Man 1 thing where they fall from the atmosphere. I don't know.
I don't know either, man.
Tyler Symbio bro on one of our friends said that he's assuming that this is the original plot where he was trying to stop baby Peter because Peter stops him in the future, and not the 3 Spider Women. So this is like the Terminator version of the storyline.
Yeah, it's like Spider-Man meets Terminator. You know, that would have been a better movie.
No.
I don't know, dude. I'd have been more entertained.
Well, okay, on a premise level, it would have been better. But in execution, I don't trust Sony to do a Terminator because time travel always ends up getting blown out the butt when it comes to executing well. And also, I don't like Spider-Man being caught up in like cosmic destiny bullshit, and this feels just like more of that.
Yeah, no, I get that.
I still think they could have made an Aranya movie, and that
they could have made any movie, but they chose to make Madam Web.
Yeah.
Exile says, and to think we still have the Craven movie coming. Can't wait to see that disaster.
So to be honest, that one has like the best chance aside from Venom of being like a genuine moneymaker for Sony. This isn't me saying that Craven's going to be good, but this is me saying that it has the best chance of not being awful.
Right.
Radiac says this movie in concept is still dumb, but if Ezekiel was supposed to see premonitions that Spider-Man was going to kill him, it does make sense for him to kill him off as an infant. That's fair. And then much better origin story for Ezekiel. I'm not a fan of the totem stuff, a non-starter for him, but like Venom being a Clintar thingy, it can't be undone now.
Well, no, they kind of undid the Clintar thing.
Yeah.
Well, okay. It's weird because they didn't undo them being like the species name, but they undid what the lore that Bendis dumped on them.
Right. Yeah. All right.
I do think that Spider-Man has too much knowledge of the Clintar stuff, or it has more exposure to the totem stuff than Venom has with the Clintar thing. I don't care.
Yeah. So we are gonna. So yeah. Any more breaking news that I missed?
Did you talk about all the movies coming back? I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yes.
That was the first.
What did you think about that, Adam? Are you excited?
Yeah, I might try to catch some. I mean, it's $5 here, so it's pretty good. A lot of the Raimi trilogy is getting pretty packed in those screenings. I've seen a couple extra showings being added. Last I checked, it's still pretty early. I think more people want to see ASM2 though again than they want to see No Way Home, which is interesting. But we've still got a couple months, so that'll probably change, or maybe
guys,
won't. Who knows?
My mic.
You're fine. I don't care.
But anyway, yeah, it's exciting.
So I'm excited too, man. It like if I can find a screen that's actually showing it. I
mean, we know there's ones near you. The problem was finding one that we could see together.
Yeah. So,
do we want to talk about the Disney board stuff? Because I'm not sure if it's important. It's like Spider-Man related.
I mean, it's Disney and Disney is Marvel, and so we can talk about that a little bit. Yeah,
this is actually stuff that interests me. So you might see my mood.
And we can have a lively discussion about this because this is an actual topic that's going on.
Yeah.
And since I'm here, I'll give my overall thoughts on.
I don't have many opinions on it, but Neil's opinion makes sense, I think.
So for those of you who've been paying attention for the past 2 years now, I think, Nelson Peltz is a activist investor who has been trying to buy his way onto a board seat for Disney broadly. Basically, he's complained that Marvel is doing things wrong and has offered no actual solutions. He is the owner, I think, of Trian Partners.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna pull up this. There's probably a CNBC article.
I've got the Variety article.
A Variety's fine. Yeah.
I've already got it pulled up. So.
Okay. Cool.
So basically, how they got invested was that Ike Perlmutter, our friend Ike, Friend of
good
the
old Ike.
Friend of the show, Ike Perlmutter.
I've had him on a few times.
Sorry, that's
still has significant shares in Disney stock.
yes.
While he no longer has the same leadership position he had as head of Marvel Entertainment, that was all consolidated under Kevin Feige. He still has the shares to give, or he still has the shares as monetary value.
Mm-hmm.
And so Nelson Peltz and Ike Perlmutter are pretty ideologically aligned. So Perlmutter put his shares in to back Nelson Peltz to bargain or to make a bid to the Marvel board of directors and investors for his own seat at the board. And this has been going on and off for a couple of years now. I think originally he made a bid back in 2023, a pretty long-term one. That one was rejected, and they just now recently made another bid. It was a pretty sound defeat, though. Iger won re-election, or he essentially, Peltz essentially only got 31% of the vote for a board seat.
Yeah,
and that was among, I believe, retail shareholders,
right.
not the big investment hedge fund investors who I think.
Yeah, and you got people like Lucas that supported Iger pretty implicitly too.
Yeah, I think retail is just like the individuals who own shareholders and like the smaller investment, the smaller equity funds. But overall, Iger and ostensibly the status quo at Disney won re-election with 94% of the votes cast in his favor.
Yeah, which again, I mean, most. I think anybody that was paying attention to the tea leaves would have known that this was not going to happen. Now, there is some discussion about him, about Iger naming his successor, the woman that was running Searchlight.
I kind of want to get into this a bit. So so before he began like an actual bid for the board seat, Peltz actually did list several complaints that Disney has addressed. One of them was a lack of a CEO successor hierarchy when Iger leaves.
Yeah.
And I believe, like you said, they named the Searchlight lady as the next CEO once his contract expires in 2028.
I don't know I think it's being rumored. I don't think it's been officially announced yet.
Well, they did say, though, that they have addressed that specific concern.
Yeah.
One of the other ones was the lack of investment in Disney parks and just overall having too many costs that were frivolous.
Mm-hmm.
So in response to those, Disney cut costs by $7.5 billion in terms of operating costs, and I think put aside $60 billion in theme parks to increase their value rather than just increasing the prices, because the complaint was that they're over-earning relative to their value.
Right.
My current theory for why Peltz lost is that he was just yapping.
Yeah.
And what I mean by this is that you know how in court when you go when you're in discovery and the court demands you hand in all your documents, and the prosecution does this and then the defendant doesn't do it and it defaults.
Yeah.
That's kind of the situation I think was happening, was that Peltz had like criticisms, and whether or not you deem them, I think some of them were more legitimate than others, particularly his comments about how films should be structured by caste. Not getting into that.
Oh, where basically he was complaining about
women and
Black and African American superheroes, which again, some of the comments are completely irrelevant when Black Panther made $1.5 billion.
Right, but ignoring the optics, the problem that I see is, and I went through several think tanks and did some cross-referencing with Reuters, is that Peltz didn't have a roadmap. And that's the big thing for me, is that, whether or not you agree with Iger and, relevant to Marvel, Kevin Feige's roadmap for the future, it's a roadmap. That's the thing that shareholders and investors are looking for when they're electing board members is, okay, we've got this problem and you've identified it. Now, how are you going to, what plan do you have to get us to meet whatever goal we have by the end of the fiscal year or whatever long-term plan you want to implement?
Yeah.
And allegedly, according to those think tanks and the crossovers and the research I did, Peltz didn't have one of those. So, in my opinion, it's sort of like, Iger didn't have like a great plan, but he had a plan.
Well, and look, the part of the issue with Disney right now is the market is so fundamentally changing. This is related, but I'll bring this up. This was from February 6th. There was an announcement that was made. We haven't heard anything since this original announcement.
Do you have a link you can put?
I'll throw it in the chat here, so we can throw it up. But when you're talking about these mega corporation entertainment industries, one of the most profitable things that they offer is sports. Okay,
and I think that this is part of Peltz's initial board seat bid back in 23 was that Disney Plus had lost the rights to stream cricket in India.
Yeah,
which is a huge market, and it doesn't seem like much because we are certainly Western centric in our way of thinking,
right?
But India has a massive population. A lot of people will pay money so that they can stream cricket.
Yeah, and the problem is that Warner Brothers Discovery and Fox, Fox less so than Warner Brothers, but they're struggling. And so what this is, so let me kind of explain what this is. Fox Corp, Warner Brothers Discovery are set to launch a new streaming joint venture that will make all of their sports programming available under a single broadband roof, a move that will put the content from ESPN, Turner Sports, TNT, and Fox Sports in a new standalone app, and in the process shake up the world of TV sports. So basically, subscribers would get access to linear sports networks, including ESPN 1 and 2, ESPNU, SEC Network, ACC Network, ESPN News, ABC, Fox, Fox Sports 1, Fox Sports 2, BTN Network, TNT, TBS, True TV, ESPN Plus, as well as the hundreds of hours from the 4 major sports conglomerates and many of the top college football people. So, like, if it's going to cost $20 to $30 a month, somebody like me who is a sports guy, you mean to tell me I'm going to get I'm going to get all that stuff? I'm going to be able to watch almost every one of my football throughout the season between Fox and ABC.
Sports ball. And
then I can sit there and pay for a Peacock and a Paramount Plus subscription. Yes, I have a antenna so I can watch my local stuff, like if I want to watch local news or whatever. So you're telling me I buy 3 apps and I get access to every single one of the sports. And I don't have to worry about any of the extra fluff. I don't need, to pay for the cooking channel.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked that Paramount, because Paramount owns CBS, which is one of the major football streamers. I'm surprised they're not in on this. But part of me assumes
I got a feeling that if this shows that it's profitable, they will jump in so damn fast because they'll have so much pressure from not only the NFL, but
also their networks and viewership.
The networks and I got a feeling the big 4 will do this and they'll offer this, and even the big markets like Houston and Dallas and LA and New York, because those affiliates are all owned by Disney, by the way. Your ABC networks, a lot of those are all owned by Disney. So WABC.
My wider point is that, like, if you're having, like, if you're pitching streaming as an alternative to cable,
yes,
this is the type of programming that I think incentivizes that, because, like, you're watching your games live. You're not just it's not like the on-demand service that Xfinity provides.
Well, and the problem is if you pay, so you decide to get Xfinity internet. In order to get TV, you have to pay for a cable box. You have to pay for the cable
channels you don't want, and like channel bundles you don't want.
Yeah, and frankly, if I'm paying $100 a month for internet and cable, and I'm paying for a bunch of stuff I don't give a crap about, just for the benefit of getting a DVR, when I can go buy a standalone DVR if I want to, for that same price, why would I do that? It makes no sense.
And to kind of bring this back to the Peltz thing, is that one of his main concerns was Disney Plus's profitability. And I think, and like I said, I think Peltz, on a fiscal perspective, has legitimate concerns, at least for the long-term growth of Disney. My issue is that, one, we know he's not going to stop at just the financial stuff. He's got Perlmutter behind him. It's absolutely going to be some. I love you guys, but you lost me at Bob.
We're about to wrap this up.
Listen. This is the one thing I enjoy. Well, two things. The other thing
financial data.
Financial data and Silk.
Well, and I get Radiac. I mean, I know I think you're from Canada, so this is not completely relevant to you right now.
But one, it's like I said, it's got Perlmutter behind it.
What are we doing?
He's wrecking your shit. But
I can't.
We know Peltz is just a proxy for Perlmutter as far as how he wants to run things, both financially and culturally at Disney.
Well, we've talked about it here on the show. Isaac Perlmutter was such a miser that, the guy was like the living embodiment of Scrooge or Ebenezer Scrooge.
That's my point, though, is that like it would not just stop at the suggestions he's making now, which I think are already kind of benefiting Disney in the long run. But also, I just think he didn't really have a plan. Like I said earlier, he was yapping, and that's kind of what it was. He was just yapping without a point.
Yeah.
So like on one hand, I think that Disney needs new leadership. I've said this for a while, even during the Chapek years, which were like one. But thank you, Venkman. I would enjoy to cook. But I think a lack of long-term vision, and I think he's one of the he runs one of those investment funds that kind of just wants the IP to cannibalize for parts rather than like actually wanting it to grow and be sustainable.
Yeah.
I think he's much more of a short-term investment guy. I think that along with a lack of a roadmap or like an explanation of how he's going to show his math to get to the point he wants to get was the reason he lost the vote.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right. That's all I got.
All right. So we are moving on from just created a marker so we can move on to the main event of the episode. I'm going to do the rundowns of ASM 45 and 46 together, and then we'll talk about a Web of Spider-Man here in a minute.
Do you want me to just give my thoughts real quick before I bounce?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. That's really all I got for ASM. All right. Carmen Carnero is doing a lot of the heavy lifting for the art. Web of Spider-Man was like $8 for just a bunch of ads. This should have been the free comic day issue.
Yeah,
not usual ads. Not the ads you're thinking of.
They're 3-page ads. Wow.
But wait, there's more.
The best ones were the Miles one and the Spec Spider-Man one with Vasquez as the guest artist.
Agreed.
That's my take.
I think there's some other good ones, but I agree those are probably the top of those. So, all right, brother. Well, thanks for doing the intro for me.
Giving you some financial shop talk.
Yeah. Well, we got 30 more minutes of talk that I didn't know we were going to get. I didn't know when Adam was going to be here. So, what about the graphs? For the Disney stuff? Yeah, he was making a joke.
Okay.
So
bye,
buddy.
Right,
see you later.
Bye, Neil.
All right, Neil. All right, so now Neil's gone. I'm going to do the rundown for ASM 45 and 46. So, all right. Zeb Wells is the writer. Carmen Carnero is the guest artist. Marcio Minez is the color artist. VC's Joe Caramaga is the letterer. We get the cold open of the issue at the Ravencroft Institute for the Criminally Insane, where a nurse is giving chow to the housed. But what is occurring? Why is Peter Parker sneaking around in his Spider-Man suit? So we then cut cue to the bland-ass title page. We got the nurse named Markin. Despite her giving food to literal supervillains, she's perhaps as scared of a little old lady. Peter shows up, and it's Aunt Anna. She is still crazed due to her dementia pills. I wish he would have been here to explain that, but whatever. So basically, Orcus kind of
the Krakoa medicine.
The Krakoa medicine got tainted.
Over in X-Men. If you're
over in X-Men got tainted, and it caused people to go batshit crazy. So
if you're following X-Men, you know all about it, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and this was talked about in the annual last year. So
right.
We did talk about it on the show. So Peter shows up, and despite Anna being confused and then literally biting Spider-Man, he gives her the medicine that was developed in issue 29 of X-Men that Peter helped develop. And so while she's clear-headed, she remarks that she has a debt to pay, a responsibility to society. So Peter kind of sits there and goes, "Oh, so that's what that sounds like," and then leaves. We go to the next day to Oscorp, where Peter tries to resign from Oscorp, while Norman seemingly forgets that he told Peter direct rap to piss off before the gang war. Sorry if you didn't remember that. It's been 3 months.
Yeah.
Norman's also going to have Anna reevaluated so she can be released legitimately. We cut to Kurt Connors making his return to the title as a member of Oscorp, where we see the living brain as an actual brain. The most awkward sequence in history of 2024 thus far, we get a scene that was released as the preview pages of the issue where Jackpot shows up and Peter and her just get naked in the woods.
And then you know.
And not for the fun reasons. Anyway,
who knows? Maybe.
Good God! So if you like that awkward exchange,
it doesn't happen. But you know,
it does not.
It was so funny. Like, well, someone posted that out of context on Twitter with the implication that they're about to do that. So
yeah. So if you like that awkward exchange, we see Aunt Anna interacting with inmates while Peter is trying to shrug off the fact that he just witnessed Anna threaten to rip the nurse's face off. But I will say that Anna did make a funny in this scene, and so I'll allow it. Peter then sees Sandman, has a bit of a conversation, saying that he turned himself in. Peter then tells him who he's friends with. He's friends with Spider-Man. And well, Sandman then marks out and shows up for a page. MJ and him get ready to leave, but Sandman warns Peter to warn Spider-Man that his Marco side, is not the only one who wants him out. They want him out too, which leads us to the final splash page of Otto, Electro, Mysterio, Vulture, and Kraven 87, 5/6 of the original Sinister Six. To be continued. So we get to ASM 46, same team as last time. So we open with the Sinister Six, and they basically task Electro for the breakout, which, Electro's good at that. I mean, I'm old enough to remember Avengers Disassembled. So we get to the East Village. Peter shows up to his apartment, and then he's walking away. And then we have a really weird scene with Michelle. Michelle, who is Michelle? It's the lawyer of L. Thompson Lincoln that we're trying to force as a new love interest for Peter Parker. Why? Because you demanded it. And it's a 1-page scene or 2-page scene. They kind of walk off because Peter doesn't. Allegedly, Peter set up a date. Allegedly, she shows up, and then he leaves. She leaves. Basically, Peter has no idea what she's talking about. So, Jackpot watches this from the shadows, does her best Kane impression, and says, "Hey, you still got it, Peter. You still know how to F that up." We then get another scene with Peter and Mary Jane talking as in their respective superhero outfits without their masks. And we get another scene with Aunt Anna. The breakout starts. Jackpot and Peter start, team up to fight Electro. The inmates start to leave, but Anna is trying to convince them that, that they shouldn't do it. Well, eventually they turn on Electro, and Electro, just as he's about to flash fry Anna, the inmates save her because she's been really, really nice to them. And so comedy of errors ensues. Electro does not get there, but turns out some of the sand was separated from Marco, and the parts that were separated from Marco were the Marco parts instead of the Baker parts. And so Sandman shows up, and now the Sinister Six are assembled. To be continued. Next issue will be the Chasm storyline. The next 2 issues will be talking about Chasm. Yay. I
Yay.
am so looking forward to that. All right. So how'd I do on my recap there?
It was
There,
pretty
Adam.
good. I didn't time it.
Oh, okay.
That was what? That was like 2 minutes, maybe.
5 minutes most.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Not
So
bad.
what's your thoughts about this issue?
Well, the art's good. The art's a nice change of pace.
I do agree.
It's solid art. Well, more than solid. It's good. I don't know.
She's going to be one of the artists on X-Men.
Good. Yeah, she did. I know she did Sentinel of Liberty, the Cap book.
Yeah,
that ended like a year or so ago.
Before
that's
the
good.
JMS run, right?
Yeah, before the JMS new series. So yeah, good. She's getting work. Good artist. There you go. Story wise, I liked it. I liked it better than Gang War.
It's so much. Look,
I liked it better than Gang War because it's like it's actually they're both kind of done in ones with a nice little hook to tie them together. And I just like seeing Spider-Man characters in the Spider-Man book. That was like, I think we all were kind of like, oh, like Gang War, there's not enough Spider-Man here, but
yeah.
I mean, I think there was plenty of Spider-Man stuff here.
Agreed.
The stuff with MJ, Mary Jane, I mean, that was okay.
So I kind of glossed over it.
Yeah, the Jackpot stuff is like, I don't like that. I don't like the Jackpot thing, but I still think their interactions were pretty good. Although I do think like because she tells him at the end, she's like, oh, like it's like because they're like, oh, we make a great team, and she's like, oh, that's why we can't be together, or whatever. I don't know. It's such a stupid, nonsensical.
To me, I read that scene different. I read that scene as we're starting to plant seeds because she's starting to doubt.
Well, sure. No, yeah. I mean, that's probably what it's. That's definitely where it could lead. It's just I don't know.
Yeah. Like this notion of I don't like Mary Jane as Jackpot. I've made that pretty painfully clear over the last however many months. But like there's so much more we could do with this. This was fine because it's a plot point that shouldn't have started in a Spider-Man book. Or didn't start in a Spider-Man book. It starts in a freaking X-Men book.
Yeah, I don't know. That's weird.
It's so weird, but I'm glad that it gets resolved here. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
And I'm glad that Peter used his scientific acumen to create the cure.
Right. Sure.
But it makes me wonder.
We don't see that.
Did Peter Parker just help create the cure for dementia? Like,
jeez.
I think the Norman scene was good.
It's fine, I guess. Sure.
Just because I think it's obviously setting up issue 50. So we know that issue 50, the Green Goblin returns, or a Green Goblin returns, right? So now we're basically 2 months away.
Yeah, they have well, we know that Green Goblin, like a classic Green Goblin, is returning, but they're playing coy with one of the issues after, which there's a Green Goblin on it, but the figure is blacked out, so we don't know what they look like, or some kind of goblin, not necessarily Green Goblin, potentially. So,
look, I'm not going to throw up one of the comments because I think it's a little mean. There's going to be people that are fans of Mary Jane. They're going to like this costume. They're going to like Mary Jane. They're gonna like to cosplay it. It's something to wear as a cosplayer, other than just the white T-shirt with the spider heart, and jeans.
Sure.
Or
I see a lot of Mary Jane cosplayers do like a Spider-Man suit these days, like some kind of variation.
They'll do the
Spinneret or like a different kind of Spidey suit, stuff like that.
Yeah. So like I say, it's interesting how I liked the Sinister Six. I liked how they portrayed Sandman here. I thought Sandman was kind of
so. How long has he had this like hive mind kind of thing going? Because it kind of makes sense with the sand, I would say. But like, since when? How long has he like kind of had this like?
So this was something that
side and
this came up in towards the end of Volume 2 of Peter Parker's Spider-Man.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
It was done by Sam Keith.
Wasn't that Wells too who wrote that?
You know what? I think it was.
I think Wells was writing that title at the time.
He was, because they put that was such a weird time. Okay. All right. Yeah, that was Zeb Wells, because it was Sam Keith and Zeb Wells that introduced that concept.
Interesting.
It is, yeah. Because this was so weird. They were still publishing Peter Parker Spider-Man, right? Because I think Zeb had done like a few inventory stories prior to this. And basically when I say inventory stories, they're stories that, are not tying into the larger thing, right? Because Jenkins leaves Peter Parker Spider-Man at issue 50. So with like a big oversized issue, it's actually a really good issue. It's a kind of a one and done. Mark Buckingham does the pencils on it, and it's basically Peter talking about his whole career with Aunt May after he's revealed his identity. And so then for 7 months we get these random ass Peter Parker Spider-Man books. So it goes all the way to 57 and then gets canceled because they had replaced Peter Parker Spider-Man with Paul Jenkins with Spectacular Spider-Man with Paul Jenkins and Humberto Ramos. So like, yeah, but that's a good catch. That's a good catch. Cause I until you said that, I'd forgotten. So, well done with your continuity cop. I'll let Bertone deputize you there. So actually, yeah, it's since Wells wrote him in the first time back in the early 2000s. He's done a couple of different Sandman. He did that MTV Sandman story. Do you remember that two-parter?
I didn't. I remember the covers for that.
Oh God, it was so bad. Hang on. That was, I think that was right before the death. Yeah, that was right before the death in the family. It was a two-parter, Peter Parker Spider-Man Volume 2, 42 and 43. It was basically what if Peter Parker went to spring break as Spider-Man.
Well,
it is definitely a story that
of its time.
What's up, Dr. Chris? Well, you sound like a chipmunk, buddy. You sound like a complete chipmunk. Yeah. So you may have to jump off and jump back on, buddy, because you literally sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks. So yeah, check your settings. That's funny. Yeah, I can't. We can't hear you, buddy. Let me remove you right quick while he's working on that, because what's your grade on these two issues?
Probably B-ish, something like that.
Adam is a B. So Adam's grade is a B.
Yeah, I mean, the Sinister Six stuff is interesting. I don't know. It feels like we're kind of this feels like Spider-Man stuff. Feels like a Spider-Man story, and it's actually it's going to lead into Sinister Six and the Green Goblin coming up. It's like, all right, cool. We're kind of getting back on track a little bit, it seems.
So my grade is similar. It's a B. I think that, and I've kind of peppered some of my thoughts in. I think the artwork is stellar. I think the interaction with Anna, where she goes, "Whose fault is it this time? You guys broke up," and then like Peter tries to cover for her, and then she goes, "That means it was her fault." That got a legitimate chuckle out of me.
Yeah, I do like the Anna stuff for the most part. Like, we don't really get a lot of in-depth stuff with her, so this was kind of a nice change of pace.
Yep. Okay, Chris, we'll see if you're talk for me. Nope. No, buddy. You're gonna have to probably close your browser and then reopen it back up. Click the link again. So you'll have to drop off. That was unintentionally funny. Oh boy. Boy.
Yeah, B.
Eugh. Oy vey. So yeah, like I say, I think this is very much a palate cleanser from what we've seen with Gang War. This is actually feels like so over bloated. And look, I read every issue of Gang War. So I read all of the tie-in books.
Yeah.
As a whole, it's not bad. There's quite a bit of Spider-Man as a whole, but an Amazing Spider-Man? Nah. Now, if you want to catch up, it is available right now on Marvel Unlimited.
Yeah.
It's a little early, but they've now made the whole thing available. So the entire story is now up on Marvel Unlimited.
Everyone has their opinions on that too. It is odd. But the thing is, I thought that they changed the.
So they made the
Marvel Unlimited schedule.
They've made it shorter. Okay. So
I was thinking they made it shorter again, though. Yeah.
But then what they're doing is with certain stories, they're kind of pushing up the schedule.
Right.
So like for the Fall of X and the end of the Krakoan stuff, you can read half the issues right now are available. So that way people can get, the second part.
I think they need to just drop the stuff like day of or the next week or like a month later. I don't know. I feel like really that because how many people are reading these things digitally,
It is
and
interesting.
that would make, I feel like that would, I mean, the subscription, I guess it's reasonably priced, but
if you do the annual one, and I just haven't bit the bullet for it, I mean, it's $60 for the year. That's $5 a month.
It's decent. And imagine you get the new stuff.
Yeah.
You get the new stuff, like maybe not, I mean, you probably should, I would say the sooner the better, but maybe like a month afterwards.
Yep.
So then you can like catch up to, if you're behind and it's like, oh, well, the new ASM came out today.
But then the question is going to be how much is that going to cannibalize your digital market and stuff like that?
I guess. But I feel like you need, I feel like, I don't know, like, are they doing enough for digital in general?
To me, what it should happen is Marvel Unlimited should give you the subscription option, but you should be able to buy the comics digitally on the app. Just do it all in one app. I understand them getting rid of the standalone app. That made sense. If you're going to combine the two, at least create a store where you can, purchase the books on Marvel Unlimited. And then if you want access to all the back issues, boom, there it is. To me, that makes the most sense. Since Comixology basically got dumped on by Jeff Bezos and company, there's a demand out there. There was people that were buying the book on, Amazon. And when they cannibalized comics with Kindle,
subscriptions for that on there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, hell, we promoted it. I bought the subscriptions so I could support Pat Olive. But I just didn't feel like I was getting enough for my money. And frankly, when they killed the app, that put a sour taste in my mouth, man.
Yeah.
So Chris's internet's not going to cooperate. So Chris is not going to be able to be on the rest of the show. Sorry, Chris.
Well,
we'll talk. I'm going to talk a little bit about what he's got, what he's cooked and what he's cooking up here in a little bit. But all right. So let's move on to Web of Spider-Man number 3, volume 3, number 1. I'm going to list the creative teams at the end of this, because trying to list the creative teams. In fact, let me get my book out in front of me, because I got this big old stack of books of to be filed, and I now pulled out some books like the all the Child Within stuff that came out.
oh yeah,
That we covered on the Comic Binge last night.
it was a banger of a show.
That was a good show. That was a hell of a show. All right, so because I didn't type this out in my notes, so that's why. All right. So our issue opens. Web of Spider-Man volume 3, number 1 opens with Madam Web telling you what the hell is going on. Basically acting like the Watcher in this big, giant, oversized issue. So we have
Also
ASM
probably
story
for synergy purposes, perhaps.
Yeah, it's 100%. ASM story number 1. The Rabbit talks to Tombstone about the latest arms deal. The deal gets disrupted by Peter, but the mob bosses that they were trying to make the deal with think that he's actually working with Tombstone. Once they scram, Peter beats up Tombstone's men. Tombstone then vows revenge. This is about 3 pages long. We got Miles.
Yeah, they're all like 3, 5, 6 something pages.
3 to 5 pages long. I have the amount of pages that they are in. All right, I started doing that. I didn't finish. Oops. My bad.
They're basically around 5 pages long, and there's like what, 10 of them.
Yeah. So we got Miles' story, which this sets up his involvement with the upcoming Blood Hunt storyline. To be continued in Miles Morales number 21. This is 5 pages. Basically, he's interacting with what's her name? Hightail, and him and Hightail are kind of fighting all these vampires, and yeah. So basically, this sets up Miles' involvement in the Blood Hunt story. We get the Jennifer story, which is only 2 pages, where Jen is basically hunting down Hydra in San Francisco. ASM story 2, the Grave Goblin is captured by Norman as the Golden Goblin, but is Norman okay? Time will tell. 3 pages. This is going to be probably happening more in ASM 49 and 50. The Gwen story, Earth 65. We have Gwen. She's at a coffee shop when suddenly a hand reaches out to her. She falls and makes a mess. Her spider sense goes off. She sees a hellscape. We cut to the Time Variance Authority because of corporate synergy. We see birds chase Gwen, and she's saved by the first appearance in Marvel Publishing of Ouroboros, which apparently was not, because Josh actually corrected me a couple days ago, aka OB. He pulls a swift "come with me if you want to live." This is 6 pages long, to be continued in the new Spider-Gwen number 1. We get the Chasm story, where we open with Osborn delivering the Grave Goblin to Limbo. Havoc picks him up, and him and Maddie have a bit of a conversation. Ben Reilly has continued to hone his powers, and he quickly dispatches the guards to work on escaping, an escape that Maddie lets him do because the plot demanded it. He will return. We get the spectacular Spider-Man story, where Peter and Miles are now regulars at the Coffee Bean on ESU, paying off the gag from Spectacular Spider-Man number 1. 2 men rob the place. Before Shashan can kick their asses, they leave. The robbers there, that is. And also Peter and Miles leave. Peter and Miles quickly round them up, and before the coffee is cold, or in Peter's case, it was already cold, a mystery man sees them and we will see more later this year. So this is going to be setting up, I think, after the initial arcs. This is setting up after, I think, issue 5. Kane's story. Kane is back in the subway tunnels. Kane is hunted down sent down by Madam Web to see what the hell Ben is up to. So he then runs into Freak, who Kane, like us, Kane thought was long dead. So after a brief battle and a brief scuffle, they run into Druig, and Kane, of course, will return. So after we get the digital content pages that they have in every issue, we get to our 2099 story, where 2099 kind of talks about how he was interacting with Madam Web. This kind of pays off the Edge of Spider-Verse stuff that we see. We have a Green Goblin attacking Miguel, and it turns out that Green Goblin is Gwen Stacy.
Dun-dun-dun.
Dun dun dun. So to be continued in Edge of Spider-Verse #4. Aranya shows up to kind of rescue Miguel, and we'll see what happens more. And that's the last story of this particular issue. So that was a few more pages. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is the longest. The Kane story and that story, I think, are the longest stories in the issue. Yep. So those are the longest 2 stories of the issue. So that's going to be setting up a lot of big stuff. So I'm going to read briefly what Nick Lowe says. So, hey there, webheads. Spider editor Nick Lowe, proudly stuck on the web of life and destiny as we look forward to the rest of 2024 and the start of 2025 Spider books. We'll get back to this last story, but first, let's talk about ASM has so much insanity coming in 2024. We finished the gang war and careening towards ASM 50, which kicks off what might be the biggest Spider story ever, with Zeb Wells and Ed McGuinness bringing back the Green Goblin. You might think you know what's going to happen here, but he promises that you do not. In whatever shape New York City is in after that, John Romita Jr. is coming back for a showdown that they've been promising since ASM #1 a few years ago, the true showdown between Spider-Man versus Tombstone. Then they have Miles Morales, Spider-Man, Cody Ziegler, and Federico Vincentini are serving up what might be their biggest year of Miles Morales stories ever. Not only did they bring you the Miles Morales issue number 300 that came out the following week from this issue, but Miles will play an enormous part in the Blood Hunt event taking over Marvel this summer. Biggest Miles event moments since Secret Wars, allegedly. Meanwhile, you do not want to miss the new Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider series by Stephanie Phillips and Frederica Mansion. This will be a character-defining series that people will be talking about for a long time as Gwen is putting down roots in 616. But what happened to Earth 65? You better pick up the book so you're not filled with regret when it sells out. Spider-Woman has been one of the most surprising books of the last year. But what if he told you that Steve Fox and I.G. Gara have planned for the second arc, Dwarves, the next one? You'd call me insane because Justice's son, Jerry, was kidnapped, aged up, and brainwashed into one of the scariest spider villains ever. You'd say that he'd been more wrong. You'd say, why are you shouting at me, Nick? And then he would respond, I'm just excited. And you will be too when you pick up Spider-Woman #6 next month. Then just 2 weeks ago, the Spectacular Spider-Man debuted, and we couldn't be more pumped about what Greg Weisman and Humberto Ramos are doing. The first arc has more twists and turns than a roller coaster, and the story they have planted here is a few subtle hints of what the second arc holds in store. But that is still months away. Add Spectacular Spider-Man to your pull list. And he's going to get a little more coy about these Kane, Chasm, and Spider Society stories. He doesn't want to get too far ahead of their announcements on that front, but let's let these things serve as your warning that big things are coming. And then he hoped you enjoyed it. So let me read off the creative teams right quick, just so you know. ASM Story Part 1 is by Zeb Wells, John Romita Jr., Scott Hanna, Maricino Menz is the color artist. Miles Morales is done by the Cody Ziegler, Eleonora Carlini. Bro, don't be ruining my bag and board, bro. Sorry, my dog. Spider-Woman is by Steve Fox, I.G. Gara, and Arif Ferranto. I'm screwing up these names. So sorry. And then The Amazing Spider-Man Part 2. The second story was Zeb Wells, Ed McGuinness, Mark Farmer, and then Maricino Menz is the colorist. Spider-Gwen, Ghost Spider with the with Stephanie Phillips is the writer. Eric Gasper is the artist. Matt Milla is the color artist. Chasm was Steve Fox. Greg Lamb was the penciler. Jay Liston is the inker. And Frank Diamara is the colorist. Spectacular Spider-Man was by Greg Weisman. Joey Vasquez, woohoo! Edgar Delgado was the colorist. Kane was done by the same team, Steve Fox, Greg Land, Jade Liston, and Frank Diamara. The Spider Society was Alex Segura, Salvador LaRocca, and Gru Iafix. And then the letterer was VC's Travis Lanham and Greg Capullo and FCO Placencia. Good grief. Were the cover artists. I won't go through all. There was multiple variant covers on this book, but yeah, this book was $8. $8. Yeah, thanks, Eric. It says, Zach, you're right about the app, and they won't do it because it makes sense. It's not for the newer comics, but there's actually people that they do the subscription and they just wait for it to show up on Marvel Unlimited. I know people that will wait. They're not buying the books, but they'll read it when the books come out on the app. So, Adam, your thoughts on this particular issue? It's a lot of things I'm doing there.
I mean, I wasn't gonna read this because I was like, it's just, little tidbits of setting up stuff for the next year-ish. But I was like, well, I'll read whatever the Wells stories are, and I'll read Spider-Man and yeah, everything else I just kind of like skipped over, like skimmed it a little bit. So yeah, the Wells stuff, interesting, not a lot to go on. It's just, small setup for the next few months of ASM. Spider-Man was fun, like Neil said earlier. Vasquez's art is good.
That. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Ed McGuinness does his art is great in the second Wells one. There's that panel when you see Grave Goblin's reflection in the Gold Goblin helmet. That's when he's like, it's like, you okay? I thought you were better now. And that's pretty great imagery right there.
Yeah, and then you see Norman's crazed face. It's great.
Yeah. And yeah, Romita Jr. was pretty good in his.
So I'll be honest. We've talked about, is this setting up the end? Be honest with you, I think we are.
Could be. It could be.
I don't know where, other than a Mary Jane story, after this, what else do you have left to set up or to pay off?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I guess you could do. Some people were thinking like, he'll bring Wyatt back or whatever with Paul, and do that.
Let me roll my eyes harder, please.
Yeah. I don't think anyone's really clamoring for that. I feel like, we just needed what we already got with that and then just kind of forget about it forever.
Yeah.
But I mean, that is a possibility.
If Marvel was wiser, they would have put Joey as the main artist. I don't know, man. There's a lot of people that love Ramos. Ramos's name and Spider-Man lore does sell. Yeah. It's not always for me, but
I do think. I mean, I think this is probably, maybe he'll do the next arc.
Maybe he does a couple of fill-in. Well, but he's also Joey Vasquez, I think, is also doing X-Men. It's really weird that two of the artists that we're talking about are jumping over to the new X-Men era.
Yeah, they're not doing Spider-Man.
They're not doing Spider-Man, but they're doing So,
but yeah, I mean, like everyone's speculating that after like these stories, Green Goblin and Tombstone, Wells is done, and I guess it's possible, but I'm just like, okay, until it's confirmed, because we really only have that hearsay from that convention that's like, oh yeah, he's gonna be done with 60, but who knows,
Look, prediction time.
Yes.
San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably.
That's because at that point they're going to be ready to announce August, September, October. If they're going to talk, they're going to start hyping up the next event. If we're keeping the same cycle, right?
Yeah.
November, December, January. Big event, the last event with Wells, and then bam, February starts and we're off to the races. So,
right.
This would be the end of this would be, if we're doing a 3-act play, right? This would be the end of the second act. Or a 5-act play. We're at the end of Act 4, and we're starting Act 5 right now, and then we're ramping up to the end. So, I know. Look, I get it. ASM is desperate for new blood. I don't misunderstand. I like Ramita. I like McGinnis.
Yeah. Well, I'd say McGinnis is more or less new blood.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been around for a long time, but and he did Spider-Man Deadpool a few years ago, but I feel like he hasn't.
And they were given the freaking as a freebie. They were given as I throw. Oh no, MJ fell out of.
Damn it, did we lose Zach? Come on, man. Don't do this to me.
Let's just restart randomly, T-Mobile. Let's just restart. T-Mobile. 5G, everything's great. God almighty. Makes me so mad.
It's okay. It wasn't that long. What were you saying?
What I was saying. I don't even remember what I was saying. Now I got so mad at T-Mobile.
I was saying how McGinnis, he hasn't really done ASM, so he's kind of new blood. But he did Spider-Man Deadpool, but I feel like that's like the closest thing that I can think of Spidey related that he's done before this.
And I'm old enough to remember him and was it Joe? Yeah, it was Joe Kelly, him starting the original Deadpool comic, like the first ongoing.
Right.
And so, I mean, he's been in the industry for a long time. But yeah, I mean, I would love to see a Greg Capullo Spider-Man. That would be freaking phenomenal.
Sure.
That'd be the closest thing we get to a McFarlane without getting a McFarlane. So, but yeah, no, I look, I think these issues are fine. I'm going to text because I'm wondering if he is going to show up.
Zach's rage at T-Mobile.
Dude. Makes me so freaking mad. I just want consistent internet. Okay? If I'm gonna stream, I got nothing else on in the house. The only stuff I have on, internet-wise, is my phone, the computer, and that's it. I don't even have my iPad charged. And I shouldn't have a random disconnect at 10 o'clock at night. Anyway, I'm going to post this I'm going to clip that. I'm going to post it on Twitter, and I guarantee you T-Mobile support will sit there and subtweet me and be like, how can we help you? You can help me by quit rebooting my router. Anyway, moving on. I'm making a marker. Yeah, look, I think they're fine. The Chasm and I did like how there was story narrative, like the ASM story, and right.
It connected to the Chasm one,
the Chasm story, which connected to the Kane story. I did like that there was those connections between the two. The Spectacular story, the Jennifer story, I'm sorry, you could have completely eliminated this. The other thing about this, I will say about this too, because we talked about this off air. There is not other than the back cover, other than the inside cover, and other than the back, not a single ad for a single book outside of what we see here. This is a thick guy. This is like 50 pages. Oh, and I lied. There's 2 pages right here. The unlimited ad, which gives you the code
the digital
that they put in every book. Other than that, there's no ads. I thought that was kind of interesting and neat. Sound off in the comments. Leave us some super chats if you'd like. If you're feeling sorry for us. Ask us anything. And direct some questions towards Adam. We got to. I'm trying to get to 90 minutes here, and then we'll wrap the show up. But so we got 15 more minutes.
Let's do like 5-10.
Yeah. Well, if we don't get any questions, then we're not going to go the full 15. But I know we're on a delay, so we got like a 30-second delay. So between what we say and then what's actually, all the hamster wheels have to start turning.
I do feel like it's interesting that the book has very limited ads. But it's still, I mean, it's 50 pages, yeah, but it's $8. And I feel like, I mean, with the something like Ultimate, that's like 5, and that's only like 30 with the ads.
Yeah.
So I feel like, you're paying for the ads as well.
Yeah.
So like I would think that this book, it's 50 pages of stories, but you would think that there would be, some more ads to kind of pad it out even more, because it feels like, the price has been the price has always gone up based on the amount of pages.
Yeah.
But now it's just like in general, most of Marvel's books, I think, are $5 instead of $4. And there's still some that are $4. There are still some that are $4. Like Spider-Man is $4. But they're just like, I think a lot of them are going toward $5, and it's the same amount of pages with ads. So I don't know. I just think it's fascinating that, like, I mean, it's cool that there are limited ads in the book, but it feels like the ads, when they advertise these books, in the solicits, they all, like, if it's a 30-page comic book, that's like 22 pages of story and then 10 pages of ads. So like, I don't know.
Yeah, it is interesting. So we want to give a grade right quick.
I can't give I don't think I can give a grade for this, really, because it's just
I think overall, truth be told, honest to God, it's a B-.
Okay.
Because there's not a whole lot of meat to the story. It's like we went to the buffet and we just grabbed little bits here and there, right?
Yeah.
I think the story,
like shrimp and
you grab
shrimp, some biscuits.
Yeah, some biscuits. You went to Golden Corral and you grabbed freaking a piece of brisket here and a freaking hamburger here and some fries here and some macaroni and cheese and some applesauce because it's there. That's kind of what this felt like as a book. I think the ASM stories are pretty much more of the same. I liked the Spectacular Spider-Man story. I thought that was like, I think I like adding this with, the first issue. I think is really a lot of fun. The Chasm story. Look, you guys know how I feel about Chasm, and I never wanted Freak back, but if we're gonna bring Freak back, well, okay.
I don't know, because he was just in our latest slot show.
He was.
So
yeah,
and that was 15 years ago those issues came out.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, everybody thought he was dead, so and then Druid was like, "Oh, let's bring him back." I don't get how Druid fits in with Kane and Ben Reilly, but okay. The Gwen story I thought was interesting, but so I'm like, okay. The Jennifer story I thought was completely useless. The Miles story, I don't give a damn about Blood Hunt, but we're gonna get a tie-in comic anyway, so yay. Yeah. I thought the Spider Society one was somewhat interesting. No appearance of Spider Girl, so we won't be talking about that on Make Mine Mayday. But yeah. God damn you, Josh. Thanks for making me feel old. When the show started, you were 6. When this network started, you were 6. The network started in October. 15th anniversary coming up. We do have a question here by Exiles. How excited are we for the return of the Green Goblin? Like, it's hard for Exiles to be excited about the return of Green Goblin Part 57.
I don't know. Green Goblin's cool. I guess I'm interested in what Wells does with him.
I'm interested to see how they wrap this up. Is he going to descend into villainy? Is he going to? Are we going back to factory settings? Are we the good Norman?
Back to formula.
Which is really ironic. I do want to plug another book though that came out today.
Oh yeah.
We got the Spider-Man, Shadow of the Green Goblin. I got the variant cover with
that's insane. That cover.
That's such a good cover though, dude. I love it. Was either that or the main cover, and I was like, I like this cover better, so I went with this one. $5. Beautiful artwork. Like, I get who was the guy that did the Grim Hunt? That did all the Daredevil stuff. Paul Ryan?
Michael Lark, I think.
Michael Lark. Yeah. I get Michael Lark vibes with this book. In terms of the artwork. Especially with the Spider-Man. And the way the inking is. Because he does his own inks. Chris Sotomayor does good job on the colors. It's great. Especially since we just read Child Within, the both of us. It's definitely worth picking up. We will probably cover this. I think we're going to do this. We talked about this. I think we're going to do this fairly soonish. We're going to do 2 issues, I think, of this.
Yeah, together. Let's do that. I think that would be pretty good.
We'll do the first 2 issues together. So when issue 2 comes out, which will be a month from now, we'll do an episode with the two issues, and then we'll do the second 2 issues together for the follow-up episode. And then of course we'll be doing Ultimate Spideydude Experience with Ultimate Spider-Man, and then the Spectacular Spideydude Experience with Spectacular Spider-Man. So but yeah.
Yeah, go check out our interview.
We should make that a super chat, Minkman. At least that wasn't a super chat.
Go check out our JMD interview that we did recently.
Yep.
In honor of this book coming out today, if you haven't already.
Yes.
Or even if you have seen it already, watch it again.
Watch it again.
It was a good one.
Just hit play and leave it on in the background on your browser. Help with the audience retention rate. What's great about that particular episode, I will say this about it. As I close out my notes. That has already outdone the first JMD Mateus episode.
Yeah.
In terms of views. So I'm extremely proud of that particular factoid. Is it as much as the Weisman stuff? No, but that Jesus Christ. That one is
completely different animal.
It's a completely different animal. So but yeah. Like I say, if we got any more super chats, any more questions you want to ask the gang, let us know. I'm in the wrong one. Switch account. There we go. We just recently surpassed our 600 subscriber mark, so we are absolutely chugging along. So thank you guys for all the new subscribers that have found us on the YouTubes. We really do appreciate it. We do have some new patrons. I'm about to pull the Patreon list up. So we had the tier list. If you guys enjoyed that, let us know. had a good time with that. And there's going to be another ranking list coming out next month. I can tell you that. Let's see, go to videos. I was looking up yeah, I mean, we've more than doubled the amount of views on the JMD. So all the links will be down in the description below. All the stuff that we talked about tonight. If you missed the first part and you want to read the articles that we're talking about in the news section, all that will be linked down in the description below. There was some Marvel Legends that were announced at WonderCon, but they really weren't Spidey related. They were a new Iron Man wave was announced, and so that's why I didn't talk about it. And so, I mean, two of them were
do a video.
Yeah, I may do a video because, like, the Whiplash, like, if you're a McFarlane fan and you like Whiplash, classic Whiplash, it got announced. Count Nefaria from the Gang War stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'm still waiting on Paul. If Paul's going to show up, but I'm not thinking he's going to be here. Oh well. So you'll get Paul's thoughts next month on Web of Spider-Man #1. But yeah, I did talk about all the episodes. I do want to mention before we get out of here, though, the newest episode of Sabu Cinema Era podcast is out right now. Talking about Web of Music, they talked about Amazing Spider-Man 2, and so Chris was going to put that basically Ryan from the band R. Frankenstein and him episode of music out of these two films, and so if you have not already checked that out on Spidey. Oh God, what did Hobby? Read Black Cat and Jackpot #1 today. It was pretty decent, other than you don't get any explanation / setup for Jackpot if you're a new reader. Yeah.
Damn.
I have not read that yet. It's in my to read pile. I just have not read it yet. There's several issues I have not read the 300th issue of Miles yet. So anyway, thank you, Javi, for watching. Javi, me and Adam were all on the comic binge last night with Mr. Baby and Paul talking about the I was roboting. It's not as bad. It's not as bad as the Chipmunks that we got earlier. So yeah, we were talking about that on the comic binge about the Child Within, one of the most underrated Spider-Man storylines of all time. Just absolutely love it. We will. Speaking of Chris, we're going to be. Well, they're funking the numbers. Okay.
It counts original. It counts original Ultimate, Javi.
Yeah, it does. It counts the original Ultimate run. So the first 157 issues are of
they're part of Miles's stuff. Yeah, and
I think they include. I don't know if they're including Spider-Man and the Ultimate. Math is math. Tell that to Common Core. I'm sorry. I was gonna get mad at me for that one. But I mean, look, we all know that they use magic math, okay? Like they added freaking 5 issues of Renew Your Vows.
Right. Yeah, that's part of Amazing's numbering.
That's part of
Superior's part of
Superior's
part of Amazing's numbering. They've counted annuals. They've counted annuals for not Spider-Man but other titles, and it's like I thought the annuals didn't. The annuals aren't supposed to. The annuals are supposed to be their own thing. Yeah, they're supposed to be their own thing.
That's the whole argument of Spider Talk. Do the annuals count? Do they not? Tune into Spider Talk to find out. But I don't know, man. Like,
it's over.
Well, okay. I do want to mention
comics are over. Comics are over, but they're also just beginning.
But wait, there's a brand new number one. Look, hey, I got a new number one today. You know what I got a couple weeks ago? I got me another number one. You see that big old number one? They're going to be worth money sometime. I tell you right now. Got me a big old dip in while I'm driving my pickup truck. I don't know why you would be mad, Javi. I don't know. Because I was making fun of Common Core. Common Core is dumb. So, we just hit the 90-minute mark, and we want to appreciate. I want to say I appreciate everybody that is a Patreon subscriber. We did lose, I think, a couple of patrons, and we're that makes us big sad because and Neil has not updated my graphics yet. So I'll throw the graphics up, but they're not technically updated yet. So I want to apologize to those that are expecting the graphics to be updated, but we're just not there yet. Okay. We did lose a Patreon subscriber, which was big sad. All right, let me get there's my audience. Okay. That's what I was looking for. So let me tier. So I'm going to throw up the old graphics, but I'm going to name off the Patreon subscribers. So Venkman and Scott, thank you for being our VIPs. Thank you to Sarah for being our spectacular patron. To our friendly neighborhood tier, we've got a couple of new ones. We got Greg Williams. Well, I don't know why there's two Greg Williamses. So there's two Greg Williamses. I don't know why. We got Keegar, we got Lisa, and ultimatefangirl.exe. Thank you guys for your support over on patreon.com/Spideydude Network. Of course, we have our sensational tier patrons. So I'm going to name them off. We've got Allison, Cindy, Ed, Georgia, Greg, Janelle, Jessica, Joyce. Welcome back, Joyce. Hello. Jurgen, Catherine, Kale, Laura Howard, Lump Moose, Master Drammond, Phoenician, RJ, Scott. Oh, he downgraded to so he downgraded to $5. Vanessa, Vicky, Greg, or Vicky, thank you guys for your support over on patreon.com/Spideydude Network. You get fun perks such as the Books of X. We are going to be recording later this week, the next couple of episodes. So those will be coming out. If you've not already checked out our Ultimate Spideydude Experience, that particular program is available up on iTunes, and hopefully I'll get the audio editions caught up here on that. We mentioned our couple of interviews that we've done. We did the Spectacular Spider-Man with Greg, and then we did the Talking Clones, Mutants, and Proto-Goblins with JMD Mateus. The Voices from the Eyrie just is in the middle of the world tour era of Gargoyles. So if you want to check that out, they're also talking about the 12th issue, which featured some cameos by a couple of familiar faces, especially if you see them over on patreon.com/Spidey Network. You get the video edition of that show available for Patreon subscribers only. The audio edition, of course, out on across your favorite platforms. Slots Symposium coming back very, very soon. And got something special with the Clone Saga Chronicles that I got planned very, very soon. So if you have not checked out us on the social media platforms, go over to twitter.com or x.com, whatever it's called nowadays, at Spideydude Radio. You can follow us on Facebook at Spideydude Network, at Spideydude Radio Network on YouTube. If you are not a YouTube subscriber and you're an audio listener, thank you for listening and being a part of that. Leave us that 5-star review. But if you're over on the YouTube page, remember, if you haven't already, give us that like, that share, that subscribe. If you want your voice to be heard on the show, you can always leave us a voicemail, 818-925-6631. We really do appreciate any and all feedback that you leave. I do want to also note that Google Podcast is dead. Jump over to YouTube Music to get all your various Google podcasts. I am in the process of integrating those RSS feeds over to the YouTube page. So, without further ado, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I want to thank Adam for his participation on this episode tonight. I do appreciate it. And good night to everybody. And we'll see you next time here on the Spideydude Radio Network.